My dad gave my sister everything. Then lawyer pulled out Grandpa's secret. This story follows Daniel, who has always been overshadowed by his sister Emma, their father's clear favorite. When their father dies and leaves everything to Emma, Daniel is devastated, until a hidden will from their late grandfather is revealed. The will grants Daniel a valuable inheritance, land, money, and a legacy meant to restore fairness. Emma, angry and desperate, tries to reclaim part of it, but Daniel refuses to give in. In the end, he chooses peace over revenge and offers Emma a chance to rebuild their relationship, starting a new chapter for both of them. Ever since we were kids, it was clear who Dad's favorite was. My sister, Emma, could do no wrong. When she broke the window playing soccer, I got blamed for not watching her. When she failed her exams, Dad paid for private tutors and told her she was just stressed. Me? I studied hard, worked part-time jobs, and still, I was invisible. When Mom passed away, I thought maybe things would change. They didn't. Dad leaned on Emma even more. She moved back home after college, didn't pay rent, and started her own business with a loan from Dad, one she never repaid. I, meanwhile, had to claw my way through university, working 2 jobs, and still barely scraping by. Years passed. Dad's health declined, and Emma became the self-appointed caretaker. I visited often, tried to help, but I was always made to feel like an outsider. When Dad finally passed away, I braced myself. I knew what was coming. At the reading of the will, the lawyer, Mr. Crane, sat across from us at Dad's mahogany desk. His voice was even, almost bored. To my beloved daughter Emma, I leave the house, the car, all investment accounts, and business assets. Emma smiled, smug and composed. I sat frozen. And to my son, Daniel, Crane continued, I leave my tools and my books. That was it. No money. No explanation. Nothing. I stood to leave, trying to hide the burning in my chest. But Crane raised a hand. There's one more document. From your grandfather. I turned slowly. Grandpa James. Crane nodded. He left a sealed addendum to be opened only upon your father's death. Emma's face paled. Mr. Crane reached into his briefcase and pulled out a yellowed envelope. My heart pounded. Grandpa James had died when I was 10, but I remembered his deep voice, his warm hugs, and the stories he told me about legacy and fairness. The envelope was marked, to be read only when my son David has passed. Crane opened it carefully and unfolded the letter inside. This letter, he began, details a trust established by James Whitmore, your grandfather. It stipulates that upon David's death, a specific inheritance be transferred to his rightful heir. Emma sat straighter. I'm his rightful heir, she said confidently. Crane didn't flinch. Actually, the trust is in Daniel's name. My jaw dropped. Emma's eyes narrowed. That must be a mistake. Why would Grandpa give Daniel anything? Crane read aloud. I have watched my son, David, favor Emma and disregard Daniel. I fear that upon my death, Daniel will be denied what is rightfully his. I have therefore created a trust in Daniel's name, containing my personal estate, original farmland, and a separate account containing $850,000. The room spun. Emma stood abruptly. No, Grandpa hated the farm. He sold it years ago. Crane looked her square in the eye. Actually, he never did. The land was transferred into a private trust. It was never under David's name, so he couldn't sell it. I sat in stunned silence. My entire life, I'd been made to feel small. Yet here was proof. Someone saw me. Someone cared. And suddenly, things started making sense. Emma stormed out of the office, heels clacking like gunshots on the wooden floor. Mr. Crane calmly placed the documents back into his briefcase, as if he hadn't just detonated a bomb in the middle of our lives. I sat there, staring blankly at the space where my sister had been. I don't understand, I said finally. Why? Why didn't anyone tell me? Crane gave a small, tired smile. Your grandfather anticipated this very reaction. He believed your father would never allow you to receive what you were due. He was right, I muttered bitterly. Crane pulled out one more folder and slid it across the desk. Inside were photos, old photos, of Grandpa James standing next to me as a child, working on the farm. Receipts, letters, even a handwritten note. Daniel will know the value of hard work. This is for him. A sudden memory washed over me. Grandpa teaching me how to use a wrench, telling me stories about how he built the barn by hand. I always thought he was just nostalgic. I never imagined he still owned the place. The land wasn't just sentimental. It had value. The farmland had been rezoned 5 years ago. Mr. Crane explained that a development company had already made offers. Over $1 million worth. I leaned back, overwhelmed. All my life I'd been told I wasn't enough. But now I held the legacy my father had tried to erase. And Emma, the golden child, had nothing but memories of control slipping through her fingers. I didn't hear from Emma for 3 days. Then came the knock. She stood on my porch, rain clinging to her coat, eyes red but defiant. "You think you won?" she snapped. I didn't invite her in. "This isn't a game, Emma." She crossed her arms. "You have no idea how hard I worked to be there for Dad. You left. You disappeared and let me handle everything. I wasn't welcome," I shouted. "Every time I tried to visit, Dad made me feel like a stranger in my own home." "You were weak," she spat. "You let them push you out." I shook my head. "And you enjoyed having all the power." She said nothing. I continued, softer now. "Why are you really here?" She hesitated, then reached into her bag and pulled out a piece of paper. "Sign this. Give me half. You don't need it all." I stared at her. "Half of what Grandpa gave me. After everything?" "You're not the only one who was hurt, Daniel," she said, her voice trembling. "You think I wanted to be the favorite? Dad expected everything from me. He controlled my life. And you let him." Emma stepped forward. "He was sick. I did what I had to do." I sighed. "So did I. I survived. Without help." Her eyes searched mine. "Please, just don't shut me out." I looked down at the paper. A settlement offer. Neatly typed. I didn't sign it. In the weeks that followed, I visited the farm. The barn was still standing, barely. The house needed work. The fields were overgrown. But it was mine. And somehow, that felt heavier than I expected. One evening, I sat on the old porch steps, staring out at the golden field where Grandpa used to walk. The wind whistled through the grass, carrying his voice in my mind. Legacy isn't just money. It's responsibility. I thought about selling. Taking the money, starting over, finally free. But then I remembered how he smiled when he talked about rebuilding it, making it something again. And I made a decision. I called a local contractor. I met with developers. But not to sell, to partner. I'd preserve part of the land and lease the rest to eco-builders. Grandpa's vision would live on, but in a way that mattered today. Emma called again. This time, I answered. She didn't yell. She cried. She admitted she was angry, scared, and lost without Dad. I listened, but I didn't offer her the farm. Instead, I offered her something else. Emma arrived at the farm weeks later. She didn't wear her usual designer coat or heels. Just jeans and a worn jacket. We walked together through the field in silence. I finally spoke. "I'm not giving you the land, but there's a house at the edge of the property. Grandpa used to stay there in summers. It's small, needs work, but it's yours if you want to build something." Emma looked at me, stunned. "Why?" "Because Grandpa wouldn't have wanted us to keep hating each other." She nodded, eyes glassy. "I don't deserve this." Neither did I, but here we are. We started clearing the property together. She planted a garden. I rebuilt the barn. Sometimes we argued. Sometimes we laughed. The past didn't vanish, but the bitterness faded. Months later, at the dedication ceremony for the new eco-village project, I spoke about legacy and how sometimes the most valuable inheritance isn't land or money. It's finally being seen and finally choosing peace.